From the News Channel 5 Network and Out and About newspaper, this is Out and About Today.
And welcome to Out and About Today. I'm Chuck Long. From ballroom dancing to hot mess kickball, we've got an action-packed show tonight. But first, let's get the action started in the buzz about. I'm joined by my co-host Pam Wheeler and Brent Meredith, and frequent contributor to the show, Joseph Brownell. Good to see everybody.
Hello.
Good to see you, Chuck.
Okay, well, lots to talk about, but some of the things that we're going to talk about, I wanted to spend a little bit more time on just because of the topic. The first one is the documentary Bridegroom, which has been out. It came out in 2013, but it continues to generate more and more buzz with being on DVD and on demand in these different areas. Bridegroom, just to let everybody know if you're not familiar with it, it's basically, it's so many things, but it's a love story, but it's also a tragedy. It's a true documentary. One of the main characters dies in a tragic accident, and then the story picks up when the partner isn't allowed to see him in the hospital. He's not allowed to go to the funeral. It's a really amazing, powerful, poignant documentary. I think one of the best ever made. Joseph, I know you've interviewed the survivor, Shane. Tell me a little bit about him.
Yeah, I mean, Shane was he was a really shy guy. I mean, the fact is, he never expected this to happen to him. I mean, he says that, and circumstance and grief kind of just thrust him into the spotlight, and he's made the best of it. I mean, it's very brave, very courageous, I think, what he's done telling his story.
I do too. We're going to talk more about it, but let's take a look at the trailer for Bridegroom, and we'll talk about it on the backside.
We developed this little code. One of us would find a way just to tap the table 3 times just to say, I love you. We had a fight that morning. We were supposed to go take photographs together.
He's like, let's go to the roof. Tom has his camera, he's all ready. He takes a bunch of pictures. He takes like 3 or 4 steps back.
I need a paramedic. He fell.
How far did he fall?
He fell 4 stories.
He said, Mom, they won't let me in to see him because I'm not family.
The doctor came into the room, and like I knew what he was going to say.
I'm Shirley.
And I did, one final tap, tap, tap. I received a phone call from one of Tom's relatives, and she wanted to let me know that I wasn't welcome to attend his funeral, because if I do show up, his uncle and his father had planned an attack.
By disinviting Shane to the funeral, they're not even mentioning him there. They're not fighting against having a gay son. What they're fighting against is love.
Very, very powerful. I'm going to talk about some other things, but first I wanted to get, what's just your impression of the documentary, Pam?
You know, as I've gotten older, I try to avoid really sad, tragic stories, but I'm really a fool sometimes because it's so moving. It can have such an impact on the way you think and your perspective, and yeah, it's powerful. I mean, it's so sad.
Yeah, it really is. Brent?
Well, there's no better way to kind of tell a story than to tell a story, and I think the things that it mentions, the visitation in the hospital, some of the hurdles and obstacles that, again, as we were talking in last week's show, people still face in certain areas of the country, and this puts a face to that. It puts emotion to it. So, I mean, it really is so important that people see it.
Right. And Joseph, what did you think about the way that the documentary laid itself out?
Well, I mean, I just think that the whole story, the movie, his story, it really just underscores, I think, what you were talking about as well, is that every LGBT rights organization knows our stories matter. I mean, in a time where estimated 69% of people think that it's illegal to fire somebody because it's gay, they'd probably think that this is crazy too, and it's not happening, but it is.
Right,
I mean,
right.
And so
let him in the back. How could you not let someone?
Yeah, and so it's happening, and it's just like both things are happening, and the more visibility we have with this stuff, I think, the better for us.
Right. And you guys. I did a play recently that dealt with this kind of subject matter, and they said, well, the play was written in 2009, so maybe that's a little bit dated. I said, but this was made about an incident that happened after that in 2011, and this was in L.A., California, a very progressive state, and it still happened. I mean, the hospital wanted to allow him to see his partner, but because of the rules, they couldn't. I mean, it was really tough.
Well, even sort of worse than the hospital is the family. I mean, to call in and tell him you're not welcome at the funeral, that's just amazing.
And to lie. I mean, they blatantly lied. They led him to believe that he'd be able to be there, and everything was just, it was chasing around. It was
I want to ask you guys, if this happened to you, what would you do? If this happened to you?
Oh, I'd be there. I'd be at the funeral, whether they liked it or not. Let them attack me.
Yeah. What about going to the hospital? What if somebody told you could not see Susie?
I mean, I don't even want to think about it, but I'm sure I would do something illegal.
Yeah. mean,
I'd just be sneaky.
I'm sure I'd have cuffs.
Yeah.
I'm sure I'd have cuffs, and for what? You know, for just trying to see somebody that you loved.
Right. A lot to think about. So the documentary is Bridegroom. If you haven't seen it, you can see it on Netflix. You can see it on demand. It's Redbox. A lot of outlets it's available on. So check it out. It's powerful and it's worth seeing. Okay, now we're going to go into our next topic. Now, this is also surrounding another movie. It's hopefully being made. It's called Credence. Now, Credence is going to be the first time that two main gay characters in a mainstream movie head a motion picture. So take a look. This is Credence, and we'll talk about it on the backside.
I talk to you today not as your president, but as a father. Reports have confirmed another storm destroying much of what's left. The evacuation will hurt more than many can bear. But letting the children go is our only hope. As our world changes, we have been forced to question what it means to be human. Our purpose is and always has been to survive. It's why we build families. But what do we survive for? Is it love and being loved? That sense of touch, that act of kindness? Or is it faith that our children will do better? Because we remember the dreams we had when we were young. We're only made of stars, flaming with what we can remember.
All right, just quickly, impression, do you think that this has a good shot at hitting the mainstream?
Everyone's looking at me. I'm just so emotional because I watched this twice when you said it to me. I think so. I mean, it's got a lot of elements, but I mean, the sci-fi elements there. I mean, it's just so powerful. The thought of what would you do in that type of situation? It doesn't. Sexual orientation is not even really a question at that point in time. You're thinking about your children and the future of the planet and the people that are on it.
Right.
Anyway,
with child, what's your impression?
I don't watch sci-fi movies, Chuck.
Okay.
But I mean, how can you watch that and not just feel sick to your stomach about the anticipation, what's happening, and the separation? But I don't know if it's for me. Even though I said I probably would be really moved if I watched it. What's the fundraising on it?
Indiegogo is that's what you can do. You can go to Indiegogo actually on the campaign for Credence, and you can actually contribute to that if you want to see that made. All right, in the final few seconds, we want to make sure that you like us on our Facebook page. Now we're a little late to the Facebook party, but Facebook.com Out and About Today. The reason is because we have always piggybacked on our media partners at Out and About Nashville, and we said, you know what? It is time we go out on our own, along with Out and About Nashville, with Out and About Today. When we return, what does it take to become a professional ballroom dancer? We'll find out after the break.